Hey everyone. If you decided to stick around and this is the second video you watch of me, I'd like to say thank you. For those of you that are new, so this is the first video you see of me, you will see that there is a video 1 of this. I don't recommend watching it, or if you're gonna watch it without sound. You might enjoy it better. It's my first time doing it, and I'm hoping this one will be better. As promised, I actually made a game plan for this video, unlike the other one where I was just free talking. I also apologize because I realized I didn't formally introduce myself in the first video. So my name's Alondra. I am 21 years old. I'm currently a student, a full-time student at UC Davis, and I have a part-time job at the UC Davis Mine Institute, and I'm hoping to have my bachelor's in science in mathematical analytics and operations research, which is a mouthful, but it took some time to get used to say that, but I think I'm comfortable with it now. But yeah, I'm hoping to have that degree this June. There's just a few classes I'm struggling with, but let's hope it all goes well. So, sorry if I look off to the side. I have some notes to keep me on track this time. I have 2 topics for today that I want to talk about: feedback and a little bit of finances. I won't be getting into numbers and the nitty gritty of that, but just some general things I want to talk about. But I can get into numbers if you guys want to see that. So, okay, let's just jump right in. So, for feedback, so I think, I don't know everything and I don't claim to know everything, but I think my impression of people is that, at least myself, but also other people, we want to some extent some positive reinforcement of what we're doing when we ask people for feedback. Like, that's not to say that we don't want some constructive criticism, but I think that for the most part we want to hear what we're doing well, so that can boost our confidence and, give us some motivation to keep doing whatever it is that we're doing and that we're getting feedback for. I just want to say that thank you for the people that gave me some feedback about yesterday's video. I have to admit, it was a little hard to hear the feedback. I thought, no big deal, I can hear the feedback and I'll take it. I like to think of myself as someone who is focused on self-improvement. So I was like, great, I got some feedback, let's work with it. But unfortunately, I don't know if it was because it was a long day or just this idea that I have that people are searching for some positiveness and feedback, that I thought some of them were a little rough. I do have to admit that in my mind I did get a little aggressive with some of the feedback I was getting. And what do I mean by that? I mean that, like, I was fighting it, like, that's not true, or you don't know, type of thing. But I think that the way that I approached the feedback was personal, which is the first thing I want to talk about. So I think that even though it's counterintuitive, I think that in order to make the most of the feedback that you get in life, I think you need to not take it personal, which sounds weird even as I say it, because, feedback is a personal thing, because feedback is usually addressed to one person or like a particular thing. So it's a bit strange, but I think that if you can detach yourself and think of it from an objective perspective, where it's like, here's a person, here's a person, well, it's a hand, but, let's pretend this is a person A, and then here's a person B, and it's like person A is giving person B feedback, right? Then just think that way, like 2 separate things, right? Like, the person who's getting feedback, what do they need help in? Like, what can they improve? So I think once I did that, that helped me a lot to make this video. As you can see, I am staring at the camera a lot more, which was something someone told me, which I was like, yeah, you're right, even though when they first told me, I was like, well, you don't know, like, go sit in front of a webcam and do what I'm doing and see, if you could sit there. But again, I think that I was taking things too personal, which I tend to do, and I know I'm not the only one. I think that's just part of human nature, that you take things personal, because you grow the way that we grow up. We're built that way. In other words, sorry, I was struggling to find what I was saying or trying to say. So I think that once I detached myself from that and I realized what it was that the people giving me feedback were trying to say, I was like, okay, let's see if I can use that to make a better video, or if you're giving me feedback but you're not seeing, or you don't have information that I have that makes your feedback invalid. So for instance, I just want to talk about two of the feedback pieces I got. I mean, I got more than that, but I think two of them were the ones that stuck the most. One of them was that I'm really busy, which I mentioned to you guys, and which is true for anyone that knows me. So like, why am I doing this? I'm just gonna be more stressed out, or I'm not gonna have time. But the thing is, so about a week ago, I went to this finance conference, because I'm trying to get into that. I'm still trying to figure out what I'm gonna do when I graduate. So figured math and finance are pretty hand in hand. But anyways, so I went to this conference, and one of the things that they were talking about there is that people will make excuses that they don't have time, and because they're busy or whatever. But he actually ran the numbers, which, I mean, when someone runs numbers on anything, you have my full attention, and I'm like, okay, like, this makes sense. I believe you. And he was saying that if you actually compute how much time you have in a week, and then the time that you spent on activities, then you still have a lot of remaining time. And in my case, that remaining time, goes to studying, doing homework, and I guess that's it. So I'll actually run you guys through the example that he showed us, just because I think it's easier for me to give you something concrete that you can think about than just to be throwing things around. So he said, if you think about it, there's 7 days in the week and 24 hours. So that gives you 168 hours per week. Now, imagine that you sleep about 8 hours a day, which I don't know anyone who does, just because everyone's so busy. I mean, but I'm pretty sure there's a few people out there that make it work. If you do that, if you sleep 8 hours a day for 7 days a week, that's 56 hours of your week that you dedicate to sleep. Let's say that you work 40 hours a week. Which for some people it's more, I think, I'm not sure if you don't quote me on that, but I think for like a part-time, it's like about 20 hours. I'm a part-time, and I sometimes don't meet the 20 hours a week thing. Most of the time I don't, to be honest with you. So I'm doing about 20 hours of work myself, but like in this example, let's just say it's 40 hours a week. And then let's say that you dedicate 14 hours or 14 hours to spending time with family or friends, and then you dedicate another 14 hours to eating, because we all gotta eat. And then you dedicate 14 hours to driving, which may not apply to all of you, since some of you may not drive, but let's just say, to getting places, so transportation, because you gotta get, from point A to point B. You're not gonna stay in the same place the whole time, or, maybe you will, and if you do, then you now have way more free time than the rest of us. And then the last category that they explained to us was, or that they considered, was like 7 hours a week of just miscellaneous things like grocery shopping, or things that you constantly do, like going to class or anything like that that's pretty routine. So when you add up all these things that I just said, you get about, let's see, what would that be? Actually, sorry, I didn't actually add that up. And I know that some of you are like, well, aren't you studying math and you should be able to sum that up? But that's not how it works. We're not calculators. I just want to, I've said it many times, we're not calculators. We are here to make things into math and then solve. That's what a mathematician does. But so when you subtract off all of those things that I listed on a weekly basis from the 168 hours that I mentioned that you have in a week, you get 24 hours left in a week. So this is like leisure time, I guess you could say. I don't really know what's the appropriate word to put, but you have 25 hours that you can work with. And now this is an example that, it's going to vary for different people. Like, if you work less, then you're going to have more free time. If you work more, you're going to have less free time. If you didn't do if you don't partake in some of the activities that I mentioned, then you're going to have more free time. Or maybe there's something else that you do on a weekly basis that's going to take away time. Not sure if that makes sense, but so more or less, like, it's going to vary for every person. Like, this is, like, for myself, this is like an overestimate, because I definitely have more than 25 hours of free time, because I mean, I know that I have to study. I know that I need to like set time for showering, like that sort of thing. Like, there's things that I'm going to do on a weekly basis. So like I was mentioning, then that's going to bring down the amount of free time that I have. But of course, I don't work 40 hours a week, so I have more free time. But because I have class, like I guess you can say that, it's still similar statistics. But yeah, so one of the feedback pieces, so let me bring it back to why I mentioned this, that I got was, you're busy. Like, why are you doing this? Like, focus on what you need to focus on, or you're going to be more stressed. And also, you seem like you don't have time. So, but like the example I just showed you, I do have time. I'm just not allotting it practically. And then, I told myself that if I was going to do a video like this, or so a video like this, like if I'm going to do these podcasts, then I'm going to take the time that I would normally take to be on Instagram, Facebook, or Snapchat and use it for this. Some days it's going to vary. Some days I won't want to make videos like this, and some days I will. And the day, like, I'll just swap them. So in my mind, I won't be taking time out of my day that I didn't already have planned to do something, right? But yeah, so this is one of those cases where I feel like the feedback that I got, while I appreciate it, I didn't think that it was 100% pertinent to me, because I don't think that the person that told me this knew how much free time I have, because I think unless like it's someone really close to you, no one really knows how much free time you have, because things vary. Like sometimes you get out of class early, now you have extra time, or that sort of thing. And then you also set priorities to, what you want to do in the day. So I feel like only you really know how much free time you have. So I think that if I do, like I said in this video, swap out, my social media for making these podcasts, then, nothing should be changing. I should still have time to do the things that I need to do and that I plan to do. Okay, so the second piece of feedback that I got was that I was rambling. And I got very aggressive with this comment. I would never say anything to the person giving me feedback, or to anyone in general, because I feel like the moment that you like attack someone for giving them feedback, instead of like sitting through and thinking about the feedback they gave you, then they're not going to want to give you feedback. I know I wouldn't want to give someone feedback if they're calling me an idiot or they get really aggressive, especially because the whole point of feedback, is to help you, which is what I kept telling myself. But I got a little aggressive because I was like, come on, I had a rough day, and to just get, slammed down with feedback, like mostly like constructive criticism, was a little hard. But then I was like, you know what, I just need to sleep. I just need to not think about it and then come back, when I'm more level-headed. And so I did that. And I actually think that this was a really good piece of advice, because I was rambling, and I am still rambling a little bit, but that's just because I don't want to have everything 100% planned. Like, I think that I should have topics to touch on, which is what I have here. That's what this part here, this whole page, sorry. I do have topics to touch on, which is helping me to get organized, but I also feel like maybe when I step in front of the camera, things that I thought 10 minutes ago were good to say are not useful, or I don't want to say them, or so, like, I don't want to have to control everything I say, I want a little bit to be, like free talk type of thing. I'm not sure I can't think of the word right now, sorry. But yeah, I do think that I need to be more organized, because otherwise that's not fair to you, the viewers, when you're trying to figure out if this video is worth your time or not. So I want to say thank you to the person that gave me that feedback. I appreciate it, and I hope that you see me trying to use that to make a better video. So my second topic, I know that I've talked a lot in the realm of feedback, but my second topic is money. And like I said, I'm not going to go into the nitty-gritty of like calculating or any numbers. I'm not going to throw numbers at you, but if you want me to, like, let me know, because I am more than happy to throw numbers at you, because I think, they're important to understand. But anyways, let's not digress. Let's focus. So I think something that people don't really think about is that if you can't manage your money when you have a little bit of it, there's no way you're going to do it when you have a lot more, because the more money you have, the chances are that there's going to be more commitments or responsibilities that money is tied to. So that's like a personal mantra of mine that I think is very counterintuitive. I think most people think there's no way that having less money is gonna make it easier to deal with my finances or figure out, appropriate budgets or that sort of thing. But it's like, no, it's easier when you have less amount of money than when you have a lot, because like I said, like you're going to have a lot of things that are a lot more things tied into when you have a lot of money, because like let's face it, the more money you have, the more things that you want, which means that you're going to be spending money in certain things, so your money's going to be tied up there. And I also feel like when you have a little bit of money, or like not a lot, so like lower income, maybe to the low level of medium income, that you're more focused on keeping your money like there. So like not wasting your money on things that you don't think are worth it, or you also focus on making more money, because like if you want to have more money for whatever reasons, we all have our reasons for wanting more money. And I feel like if you have a lot of money, that you're gonna be more focused on not losing that, if that makes sense. I know that things sound kind of weird, but I just think that if you can combine those two mentalities, so the mentality that you have when you have a little bit of money and the mentality that you have when you have a lot of money, I think that would be extremely beneficial as you go through life. And I think as an example, I'll use myself. Like I said, I won't throw numbers at you guys, but if you want me to because you think that that's going to help you, then let me know, and I will prepare an example and have some numbers for you guys next time. But for instance, for myself, I am not making a lot. I mean, I'm a student. I have debt, like most students. So I don't have a lot to work with on a monthly basis, especially because I don't work a lot. Like I probably work, I want to say 10 to 15 hours a week, which is really like a small amount, and I make $11.50, so a little over the minimum, the current minimum. So I'm not making a whole lot, and granted, I have loans that help me pay for rent, but what about other stuff, like utilities, gas, food, that sort of thing, I have to manage all that, and I feel like the best way for me to manage that is to just kind of think like how can I increase my money, which is something I was saying, like I feel like if you have a little bit of money, that's kind of like your mentality, how can I increase it? Which I'm not saying that like people who have a lot of money aren't thinking that way, because I think everyone always wants to think, how can I have more, if that's what you want. But I just feel like the pressure to have more money when you are low income is higher than if you have a lot of income. Because I mean, like ultimately, if you have a lot of money coming in, you're not like, wow, I could really use another dollar. But if you're like me, I'm like $1, it's like candy bar or fries, which I really love. So I think it's a little different, but sorry, let me go back. I feel like I backtracked a little bit, or I rambled, working on that. I feel like for me, I'm focused on like, where can I save money? How can I get, how can I make my money work for me? In other words, like for instance, I do a lot of like online shopping when I need to. Like if I want to buy something from Target, yeah, I could go pick it up from Target, but I can also buy it online, which means I get to get cash back for using this online cashback thing. That if you guys want more info, let me know, because there's like this referral thing, so we both get something. So let me know if you're interested. So I would do that, and then I would also use my credit card, which I know a lot of people are afraid of, especially when you're like me and you don't have a whole lot, because you're like, what if I get comfortable? And I'm like, wow, this credit card could be a source of income. But like, that's not how I see it. The reason that I use my credit card is because I get cash back on it. So I mean, if you think about it, then I'm really making my money work. Like when I order something from Target, like I just said, because I'm getting cash back from using the online tool, and I'm getting cash back. Sorry, that's like two. Math major. And then I get cash back from using the credit card. So it's cash back from online and then cash back from the credit card. And yeah, it's annoying because you could just go to the store and pick it up instead of like having to wait for them to process and then having to go pick it up. But I get cash back, and that cash back adds up. Like for instance, from my online app that I was telling you guys that I used, I probably have about $70 or $80. For my credit card, I have almost $80 of cash back that I've gotten, and it's only been like 4 months because May's not over. So it's like you get your cash back at the end of the month. So yeah, I mean, I think that if you think that way, if you think that if you can master like your finances at a lower level, or when you have less to work with, it'll be much better for when you have a lot of money. Not to mention that it's much easier to manage your finances, I think, when you're when you have lower income, because there's less things tied up to your income, because there's no way that you're gonna like put down a down payment for a Lamborghini if you have low income. Like, that's not gonna happen. You don't have to worry about payments for an expensive car, if you can't afford it. I mean, unless you went in and got yourself into a sticky situation like that, but that's a whole nother story. But I'm talking about if you have only committed your money to the things that you need, then, there shouldn't be a whole lot. You're probably just going to stick to the bare essentials, if you're trying to save money, or if you're trying to, just spread it out. If you have a lot of things that you need, or you feel like you need, then yeah, you're going to spread it out. But yeah, let me just wrap up this video because it's been 20 minutes, which, oh my god, that's a lot. But I hope that this video has been an improvement than the last one. I personally think that it was much better because I stared at the camera a lot more, which I didn't do for the first one, and I also set up some lights, they're by my laptop, so that there's better lights. And then I also decided to sit in front of my closet with the curtain draped closed so that you guys wouldn't see if I have a mess or not. So it's up to you guys to decide. I'm just kidding. So yeah, I hope that you guys liked it, and I just want to do a really quick, should take 30 seconds, about what I talked about in case you missed it, and if you have any questions or you want me to talk about this more in my next video. So first thing was that I think that you should make feedback less personal, which sounds counterintuitive, but I think that it's very beneficial, and I think that I described that, maybe not clearly or as cleanly as I could have, but I did describe that in this video. So if you want to hear about it more, watch the video again, or let me know, and I'll try to talk about it more precisely next time. And then the second thing was that I think that if you manage less amount of money, that it's going to actually help you manage more in the future, or it'll actually help you get more money, I think. But yeah, so that's the video for today. I hope that you liked it. I'm sorry that I went 20 minutes over. I've clearly got some work to do on the rambling, and I'll work on that. But let me know if you have any additional feedback, any questions, if you want me to throw numbers at you, because they help. I know people are afraid of them, but I can help you. They're not scary. They're really helpful. But let me know. And again, I hope that you